This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
Maria Taylor alongside Tony Dungy and Drew Brees and Mike Florio, and we are here to wrap up your Week 6. And let's go ahead and start, Tony, with Dallas and New England, because it was a wild game in Foxborough, back-to-back. The Cowboys gritted out a win with some poise.
They really did, and it was a good news, bad news game for the Cowboys. The bad news is they probably should have won by 3 scores. They dominated everything in the game except taking care of business in the red zone. But the good news is they didn't fold up when they got down. They fought their way back and played with poise. They did.
Showed a lot of composure. Came up with plays on defense. Trayvon Diggs getting the interception to take the lead at the end. But to your point, Tony, they could have scored 40-plus points in this game against a Bill Belichick defense in New England. So the amount of explosive weapons they have and the way Dak Prescott's playing, they have to be really pleased with what their forecast looks like moving ahead.
And I think Kellen Moore is calling an excellent game for Dak Prescott and getting everybody involved.
Let's get Mike Florio involved. What were your thoughts, your takeaways?
Well, unfortunately, I've checked the standings. There is no column for moral victories. The Patriots have at least 2 of them this year, both at home against the Buccaneers and now against the Cowboys. I mean, they're not as bad as their record would suggest, but as Bill Parcells always said, you are what your record says you are. 0-4 at home for the Patriots. Unbelievable. And they kept it close, but this is usually the kind of game the Patriots win. They keep it close and they find a way, and they almost did, but ultimately they didn't. And you start racking up these losses. 4 losses by the middle of October. Your margin for error gets smaller and smaller if you want to have any shot at the postseason.
Yeah, Mike, but I'll tell you who hasn't seen a loss since Week 1. That would be the Green Bay Packers. And right now on a 5-game winning streak, they go on the road, take on the Bears. Aaron Rodgers pulls out the belt. He says, I still own you. I'm coming right back at you, Florio. And what was your takeaway from the Packers getting the win in Chicago?
It really was amazing in the lead up to the game to look at the Bears' 3-2 record, because it felt like they were 1-4, maybe 0-5 with all the criticism, and they weren't embarrassed. But there's a fundamental difference between Aaron Rodgers and most other quarterbacks in the NFL. Justin Fields is just getting started. Rodgers has been around, and he has reestablished himself as an MVP candidate, as a guy who can take the Packers where they're trying to go, a place they haven't been since the 2010 season. And it becomes harder and harder to reconcile what happened in Week 1 with each passing week that we see the Packers play so well.
No, it really is. And you have to be impressed with the Packers, because it's not just Aaron Rodgers making all these great throws and great plays and scoring points. Aaron Jones is playing good football for them. They're getting pass protection. They're taking the ball away on defense and holding the score down. They're just playing good football all the way around.
They are, and I think you knew the type of game this was going to be. Listen, Packers-Bears in Chicago, you know it was going to be tough, you know it was going to be physical, it was going to be back and forth. Maybe it's okay to punt, but at the end of the day, statistically, you wouldn't be all that impressed with what the Packers did. But they rushed for over 150 yards. They did not turn the ball over. And you know what Aaron Rodgers' record is when they do that? He's undefeated.
I have to say,
so that is a formula for winning. I don't care who you're playing, but obviously throw in Aaron's playmaking ability, Devontae Adams, what they can do on offense, it's impressive.
Aaron Rodgers, 22-5 against the Bears, still owning, apparently, the Midway Monsters. Meanwhile, Arizona, they were dealing with their coach being out and Cliff Kingsbury into the COVID protocol, but it didn't matter for Kyler Murray. The only undefeated team, Arizona Cardinals, still rolled against the Browns.
I love what I'm seeing from this team, because they've got playmakers all over the field. Defensively, up front, in the secondary, offensively, passing game, running game, and they got the ultimate playmaker in Kyler Murray.
They do. I thought this game would be much closer, especially going into hostile environment. That Midwest weather is kind of coming into play. The way that the Cleveland lost last week, you thought they'd respond a little bit better. But, I mean, Arizona walked in there confident. Their defense is playing outstanding. So as many playmakers as they have on offense, and, oh, by the way, they just added Zach Ertz, right? He wasn't even on the field today. But that defense and that pass rush is really impressing me.
Mike?
Well, I think back to the playoffs when the Browns thumped the Steelers without Kevin Stefanski because of the COVID protocols, and now the Browns have it happen to them, a coach not present and the team not missing a beat. So kudos to the Cardinals for holding it together. They had a bunch of positives this week, and I think they're still worried about whether or not there'll be further spread. But Kyler Murray, front runner for MVP, they're 6-0. I think more and more people have to believe what they did today was the most impressive win of the season, to go into Cleveland and win under those circumstances as easily as they did. Big one for the Cardinals, and the Browns better pick up the pieces quickly because they've got Thursday night against the Broncos and a lot of injuries to worry about.
Can I ask Mike one question?
Go for it.
Mike, you're our information man. How does Arizona get a team to trade them DeAndre Hopkins and then get a team to send them A.J. Green, and then now get a team to send them Zach Ertz? How does that happen?
Alcohol. Explanation.
I mean, they're going to send them a Christmas gifts or something? Wow.
Because inquiring minds really do want to know what the number of playmakers Arizona has. That's why they're undefeated, and they keep on hauling them in, obviously. Meanwhile, there was another game that we thought was going to be a measuring stick. 2 4-1 teams. The L.A. Chargers taking on the Ravens. We had the 2 young guns, Justin Herbert. We got Lamar Jackson. But boy, do we have a dud of a game because the Ravens really just smoked the Chargers 34-6.
Yeah, the Ravens have found their formula again. It's the formula that we've always known, but it maybe took a little while to get there. But running the ball, no matter who's back there, because you've got Lamar Jackson as such this run threat as well. He's occupying defenders, opening up lanes for the runners. Their play action ability, hitting the tight ends, hitting the receivers, and then this defense is just going to light you up. They're going to light you up with pressure. They're going to force turnovers, takeaways, give their offense opportunities, and they got the best kicker in the game. So you combine all those things together, that's a winning formula.
And defensively, they got back to their roots and their heart. They put pressure on Justin Herbert. They had tight coverage. They were physical. They were flying around. And that was the thing that impressed me. I expect to see Lamar Jackson move the ball a little bit and make things happen. But to shut down the Chargers offense like that, holding to one score,
they've been so explosive.
That was impressive.
Well, and what's impressive about the Ravens, 2 years ago, they kind of sputtered early in the season. They had a signature win at Seattle the first time that Lamar Jackson sent the punt team back and we're going for it on 4th down. And after that, they started blowing people out. And I thought it would happen after the win over the Chiefs, that they'd come out and they'd start rolling over their opponents, and they didn't. But it was that Monday night game, that comeback win over the Colts. I think that woke them up. And I think we're going to see them go on a run now where they just start winning games like the Bills are winning them with big margins, decisively. They're all going to be bought in, and they're going to keep moving forward. And I think they become a very dangerous team in the AFC now.
All right, well, I'm about to wake everybody up. It's time for the 2-minute drill. We're going with the speed round. We're going Coach Drew and Mike, okay? Those are your directions. Word association, all right? We're going to start with the Chiefs are back to 500.
Yeah, and they're playing like a 500 team to me. Still making mistakes. I still think they've got to get
So your
tighter.
word is?
My word is 500.
Okay.
I'm going to say sloppy. Too many turnovers, too sloppy. They're going to get beat by good teams.
Urgency. My word's urgency, that they understand it, and we'll see if it makes a difference, but they understand the stakes, and they have to start winning games consistently.
All right, the Raiders offense rolling against the Broncos, Coach.
Hats off to Rich Bisaccia. I'm going to say focused. They look very, very focused, and they play good football.
Yep. The big plays. And Derek Carr, if he can get back to the way he was playing those first few games of the season, they can score some points.
Leadership. I think, as Drew said at one point not that long ago, the idea that under a circumstance like this, it's for the team to come together. It's for the players to come together. And last week they didn't. This week they did.
All right, what about the Bengals? They are 4-2. Very impressive so far this season.
Yeah, and I have to go to Who Day.
Okay, I like
Isn't that
it.
what they kind of trip from you guys?
Right.
But playing good football and playing mature football, and they've got a young team that believes.
I'm saying ascending. They are continuing to get better and better each week. Think about the confidence that's being built as they continue to make plays and find ways to win games.
Swagger. I mean, that's the attitude that Joe Burrow has. He's great. He's awesome. And he doesn't look like a guy who would have that kind of calm and that kind of attitude that borders on arrogance, but he's got it. And the Bengals haven't had anything like that in a long time, and it really is making a difference for them.
Don't need all that swagger against the Ravens in Week 7. Okay, your last one, guys. Vikings, 5 of 6 games have come down to the final play, Coach.
Cardiac. Cardiac. Can we make a play on the last play of the game? Can we make that winning kick? Can we catch the Hail Mary? Last second.
I want to say clutch. I mean, I I feel like they've been in a position to win all of these as well, and it's just one play here or there, but maybe better than maybe what their record would say.
Dangerous. That's the key, though. The last 2 weeks, double-digit leads in the fourth quarter, squandered. It was here we go again on Sunday against Carolina, up 28-17. Kicker misses a field goal, 50-yarder. Used to be 50 yards was a big deal, not anymore. And then the Panthers come back and force overtime. I was amazed they pulled it together and won, but I was amazed they pulled it together and won last week when they fell behind the Lions after blowing a 10-point lead.
And we're amazed you haven't had a heart attack yet, Mike Florio, so we're all happy about that. I think we passed our 2-minute drill, so that means exactly. You can join us for Week 7 on Football Night in America at 7 Eastern on Sunday.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.